Hi guys, welcome to another thriller movie recap. Let's break down Divergent movie today. The movie opens in a future where war has shattered the world, and the last humans have rebuilt their lives inside the ruined shell of Chicago. To keep order and prevent old mistakes, the city's founders sealed the borders with a massive wall and split society into 5 factions, each dedicated to a single virtue. Erudite prize knowledge and logic, amity tend the land and keep the peace, candor demand honesty and truth, Dauntless serve as the city's fearless protectors, and Abnegation live simply and put others first. Those who belong to no faction are cast out as factionless, outsiders in a place that values order above all else. Beatrice Prior grows up in Abnegation, the faction of selflessness, raised to put everyone else first. But while she respects the Abnegation creed, she's always felt something else inside her, a pull toward daring and curiosity toward the brazen world of Dauntless. When she turns 16, she must take the aptitude test that helps guide every teenager's choosing day, and her results are not what anyone expects. Her test shows equal aptitude for Abnegation, erudite, and Dauntless. That rare outcome marks her as Divergent, someone who can't be easily controlled by the faction system. The test administrator, Tori, sees the danger and quietly alters the official record to show Abnegation, warning Beatrice to hide the truth. In this city, the rule is clear: faction before blood. Once you choose, you leave your family forever. Choosing day arrives, and the tension at home is unbearable. First, Caleb, Beatrice's older brother, shocks the family by choosing erudite. His decision feels like a betrayal and casts a long, painful shadow over the Prior household. The pressure and hurt from his choice hangs over Beatrice, and when her turn comes, she makes a decision no less wrenching. She chooses Dauntless, leaving her family and Abnegation behind. It's a double wound for the Priors. Caleb's choice cuts them first, and Beatrice's choice cuts them next. She stands on the platform, ascends to street level with the other transfers, hesitates for a single breath at the edge of what she knows, then jumps onto a moving train that will take her to a new life. On the train, she meets Christina, a transfer from Candor who quickly becomes a companion in this strange new world. The recruits arrive at a rooftop where Dauntless leadership, including the harsh instructor Eric, lays down the first brutal rule. The only way into the Dauntless compound is to jump off the roof and land in the nets below. The jump is meant to weed out the hesitant. Hesitation equals rejection. Triss volunteers to go first, surprising those who expected an Abnegation girl to be meek. She takes a breath, leaps into the invisible depth, and crashes into the safety net. A Dauntless member helps her up, and a young instructor with a tattoo on his neck crouches nearby. When he asks her name, she seizes the moment to reinvent herself. No longer Beatrice, she tells him she's Triss. Once everyone is inside, the transfers are separated from those born Dauntless. Lauren takes the born Dauntless while a scout named For is assigned the transfers. For leads them down into the pit, the cavernous heart of Dauntless life, a place that hums with training, laughter, and the occasional reckless dare. Their living quarters are communal and stark, with shared bathrooms and open showers that immediately provoke a complaint from Christina. The transfers burn their old clothes as a symbolic severing of the past, change into Dauntless uniforms, and head to the cafeteria where they meet Will and Al. The Dauntless leader Max taps a cup for silence and delivers a speech urging them to embrace courage and take pride in their new roles. The most enthusiastic recruits hoist the initiates onto their shoulders, welcoming them to a daring world. Training begins at dawn, a punishing program of physical endurance and mental challenges designed in stages to rank each initiate. Failure means being cast out to the factionless, so the stakes are absolute. Eric's brutal, unforgiving methods clash with For's quieter, more thoughtful approach. In sparring matches, Eric emphasizes readiness by pairing the strongest against the weakest. Triss gets hit hard, loses consciousness, and when final rankings are posted, her name sits near the bottom. Afraid she could be cut at any time, Triss wakes before dawn to train alone. Her friends take her to get tattoos as a small lift. There she runs into Tori, who asks why she chose Dauntless. Triss insists it was her decision alone. During group practice, 4 observes Triss' weaknesses and quietly coaches her on where and how to strike for maximum effect. Grateful, she notices how close he often stands and how his instruction makes her better. In a tense lesson, Christina caves under pressure and is forced by Eric to hang from a bridge over a void while water drips on her. A lesson in endurance and the dauntless creed of never giving up. For later takes the initiates beyond the compound toward the city wall and the scarred Amity farms, warning them that calm can be an illusion and preparedness is everything. Back at the compound, Triss shows striking talent with throwing knives, hitting targets where others, like Al, slip. When Eric sees Al's error, he orders fallen weapons retrieved and forces Al to stand against a wall while 4 throws knives dangerously close. Any flinch would mean exposure. Triss volunteers to take Al's place, and the knives cut closer and closer until blood trickles from her ear. Eric rewards her with extra points for self-control. Triss is shaken but proud. She is angry at 4 for putting her in danger until she learns he stepped in to stop Eric before it went too far. Her courage earns respect, but also makes enemies, especially Peter, a transfer from Candor who mocks her, taunts her friends, and looks for chances to provoke. One day, Janine Matthews, leader of Erudite, appears in the Dauntless compound. Rumors swirl that Erudite may be hunting Divergence, and Janine's presence only heightens unease. During a combat session, Eric deliberately matches Triss with Peter. Before the fight, For quietly points out Peter's weaknesses, allowing Triss to land a quick strike. Peter retaliates with powerful blows and overwhelms her. On the edge of unconsciousness, Triss sees For leaving the arena. She wakes to realize she might be expelled for poor performance, and she sprints after a departing train, carrying the other initiates. For helps her aboard. Eric, surprised by her grit, ultimately lets her remain. Shortly after, the leaders organize a capture the flag contest that uses special weapons delivering short bursts of simulated pain. While one captain picks the strongest, 4 picks those who are quick and determined, a test of strategy and heart as much as strength. Eric's team guards the pier while 4 listens to his group's tactics. Triss climbs a nearby Ferris wheel to scout the battlefield, and when a rotten crossbeam breaks beneath her foot, 4 catches her, drawing them into a playful exchange that hints at something more. From their high vantage, they spot the rival team's flag atop a lighthouse. Triss proposes a plan. Distract the opponents while 4 engages their captain so she and the girls can grab the flag. Through skirmishes with Peter and Molly, Triss seizes the flag and waves it triumphantly. The Dauntless welcome her into their modest initiation ritual and fasten her to a steel cable. She zips across the city skyline, barely containing her exhilaration. When she lands, For congratulates her, praising her bravery and courage. Having finished the first stage of initiation, Triss faces the psychological trials. Natalie, her mother, sneaks a chance to see her daughter and, overjoyed, confirms Triss' suspicion. She is Divergent. Natalie warns her to be careful around Erudite and hints that the mental simulations can be manipulated. In the simulation area, Triss notices Molly being led out disoriented. Under 4 supervision, Triss enters a trance-like test and confronts her greatest fears head-on, reminding herself that they are illusions. She regains consciousness in only a few minutes, which puzzles 4. He can't understand how she moved through the landscape so quickly. Her unusual performance stirs suspicion among peers. Peter spreads doubt, suggesting her progress might be influencing others, even Al. The second simulation traps Triss inside a sealed cube that fills with water. With desperate force, she strikes the glass, breaks free, and proves again she can move through fear faster than anyone else. For grows increasingly curious and presses her to reveal her official faction assignment. But Triss insists she's Abnegation. Later, Tori tells Triss that a relative of hers once tested Divergent and died under strange circumstances. She warns Triss of the severe repercussions if Dauntless discovers her secret. Feeling more isolated, Triss turns to Caleb and begs to go back to Abnegation. but Caleb refuses. His betrayal's still raw, and Triss feels alone. Not long after, Triss encounters Janine Matthews in a stairwell. Janine's friendly concern masks a deeper probing. She hints that Abnegation may be hiding dangerous divergence and subtly suggests she might call on Triss' loyalty if someone close defies the law. That night, while Triss walks alone through dark corridors, she's ambushed by 3 masked attackers who corner her near a ledge. The shock turns to heartbreak when she recognizes one attacker as Al, a friend who once betrayed her trust. Just before they can push her over, Four rushes in and overpowers them, promising to keep her safe until morning. At lunch the next day, Al appears remorseful, pleading for Triss' forgiveness and blaming fear and jealousy for his actions after being kicked out of Dauntless ranks. Triss cannot bring herself to forgive him. Later, the other Dauntless discover Al's lifeless body at the bottom of a deep pit. The sight devastates Triss and sets heavy guilt on her shoulders. She confesses to Four that she is divergent. Instead of recoiling, he advises her to learn to confront fear like a true Dauntless and to hide what makes her different. As their bond deepens, Triss enters Four's fear landscape and learns more about him. He reveals his real name is Tobias Eaton and that his father, Marcus Eaton, abused him in Abnegation, a truth Triss' father had denied. This shared vulnerability draws them closer. They spend a quiet evening together, Triss tracing the 5 faction symbols on his skin. As Four explains, he wants to embody bravery, selflessness, intelligence, honesty, and kindness without being confined to a single identity. They share an intimate moment that cements their trust. The next day, Four shows Triss suspicious equipment being unloaded in Dauntless territory by erudite operatives. A vial of an experimental serum capable of overriding free will and turning independent-minded people into obedient drones. With the final test approaching, Four warns Triss that the technicians can display her hallucinations on a monitor, so she must complete the simulation in a way that looks normal. Tori wishes her luck and send her into the final landscape. Inside, dozens of crows circle overhead and fire advances. The birds dive and attack. She finds herself bound to a pole and burns the ropes with a nearby flame, plunges her hands into a swamp, then is thrust into a cage that fills with water. She blocks the flow with her clothes and fights the urge to drown. The vision jerks into a new scene where Four appears and tries to overpower her. She resists and realizes it's an illusion. She snaps back to reality in the training room where Janine watches closely. Janine congratulates her and then, with cold calculation, hands Triss a pistol and orders her to shoot her parents who stand before her in the simulation. Triss fights herself but pulls the trigger in the landscape and then wakes up gasping. After the final simulation, the successful initiates gather for a celebratory speech. New members cheer as Max and the Dauntless leadership speak. Later, Eric lines them up in columns and, under the pretense of a standard security procedure, tracking modules are implanted in each soldier. That night, Triss is roused by the sound of recruits dressing in identical uniforms and realizes something is deeply wrong. The trackers are controlling minds, and her fellow Dauntless move like empty vessels following orders. When a soldier dares to question what's happening, he is shot dead to set an example. Horrified, Triss and Four realize the neuroleptic serum won't affect divergence. They slip through the ranks, keeping their faces blank, and exchange a relieved look and a squeeze of hands to signal they must keep pretending if they want to survive. The controlled Dauntless march toward Abnegation at dawn, moving in tight, military precision. They systematically force Abnegation residents from their homes into the central square. Triss and Four race to her parents' house, but find it empty. On the street, they come face-to-face with Eric. The tense confrontation explodes into a fight. In the chaos, shots ring out. Eric is wounded and Triss is hit in the shoulder. Surrounded by Dauntless soldiers who've been turned into an army, Triss and Four are captured and brought before Janine Matthews. Janine, composed and clinical, explains her motive. She believes Abnegation's selflessness makes them weak and dangerous to the fragile faction system, and that divergents are a threat because they cannot be controlled. She wants Four alive for study and orders Triss' execution. Four tries to protect her, but is overpowered and restrained. As the guards move to execute Triss, a miracle interrupts the scene. Natalie, Triss' mother, appears and pulls Triss away, revealing she had once been Dauntless herself and defected back to Abnegation. The two fight through troops with uncanny marksmanship and take down soldiers as they flee. Triss tries to wake Will, who is under control and lies motionless, but it's too late. He dies in the chaos. The escape turns tragic when Natalie takes a bullet meant for Triss. She crumples, dying in her daughter's arms. Triss screams and tells her she loves her as she loses her. Shaken and grieving, Triss finds her father Andrew and the rest of the Abnegation survivors in an abandoned building. Caleb arrives and finally learns the devastating truth: their mother is gone. Marcus, the Abnegation leader, urges them to leave and survive, but Caleb is confused and angry, struggling to understand why Dauntless would be turned against Abnegation. Triss, certain the troops are in simulation and can be forced out of it, decides they must break into the Dauntless stronghold and stop the operation. She takes a small team and sneaks back through the net she jumped on earlier. Inside the compound, they move quietly until Triss finds Peter standing guard. When he wakes, confused and under the serum's influence, Triss holds him at gunpoint. She shoots him to make sure he won't alert reinforcements and forces him to lead them to the control room. They clear a section with Triss' father and the others going in guns blazing, which costs Andrew his life and leaves Caleb shaken. Pressing forward, Triss reaches the main control area and sees the full scale of the operation. Rows of Dauntless hooked to machines, the serum distribution system, and Janine watching it all. For is strapped to a chair, hooked into the simulation. Triss frees him, a move that provokes Janine's wrath. Janine enters with her guards, mockingly delighted at how the system has been perfected to erase independent will. She orders Four to kill Triss. What follows is desperate and brutal. For fights with trained strength and rage, but Triss is outmatched. In a last-ditch move, she grabs a gun, holds it to Four, and whispers, "It's okay. Look at me, Four." The words cut through the simulation's hold and awaken Tobias, Four's real self, who suddenly turns on Janine and her men with ferocious force, showing no mercy to those who would destroy free will. Janine orders the remaining Abnegation prisoners executed, and Triss, refusing to let slaughter continue, plunges a knife into one of the mechanisms while Four covers her. In the chaos, Triss decides on a risky gambit. She calls herself Divergent and injects Janine with a dose of her own simulation serum. The move backfires for Janine. Instead of controlling Triss, the serum leaves Janine temporarily incapacitated and offline, which paradoxically forces her to stop the program. The machines shut down, Dauntless regain control of their bodies, and the immediate massacre is halted. Janine, furious at her defeat, lunges at Triss and is knocked out in the scuffle as security closes in. With alarms blaring and reinforcements approaching, Four says it's time to go. He finds a moment to reconcile with his father in the brief chaos, and then the survivors run for the train. Triss, Four, Caleb, and a handful of others leap aboard the moving train as it pulls away from the city. Four tells Triss they have each other now. Stripped of faction branding and family ties, they will live as outcasts, uncertain of the future, but free for the first time. For now, they ride the train to the end of the line and take a leap of faith into whatever comes next. Thanks for watching till the end. That was the story of Divergent. Now tell me, what faction would you choose? Drop your answer in the comments. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe. Your support keeps more stories coming.